All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun. And after a hiatus that is weather related, work related, it's in reality, it really is hard to wrangle everybody to play D&D in real life. Everybody's got lives, and it took a while. And sometimes it was my fault. Sometimes I had to cancel. Sometimes other people canceled. Sometimes they weren't even running the same game, which is a question I would pose to everybody, that there is a second game that I'm in, sort of. Um, I have a level 3 cleric that I just finally figured out how to, like, really play as, I think, for the most part. And if anybody when we're playing those games, if anybody wants me to recap, those, I can. I don't really know the big main story. I kinda got dropped in the middle of it. But if anybody is interested, let me know. Because I know that these recaps help at least some of the people in like that are playing these games with me and are fun for my community to listen to. And they're fun to talk about. Because at the table, it's it can get pretty wild. And I should have just made this that night, but I was tired. And then yesterday I wanted to do it, but I had other obligations come up. And so this was the earliest I could get it done. And I've still got to do my Man in the High Castle stuff. So it's for somebody being on vacation, I sure do have a lot to do. But I'm really happy to be back talking about session 5 of my D&D campaign. It's not my campaign, but the one I'm involved in. So it's been a while. It's been a while. And if I'm not the best at this again, because again, it's like a muscle. You gotta like you get into a flow, and if you end the flow, sometimes it just doesn't come out right. But we're gonna give it our good old college try. And this takes place basically in the space of a day. And a lot of things went down. And there was a lot of like, I liked this session a lot because it was teaching me a lot still. I'm still learning how to ask questions. I'm still trying to, be very imaginative and think of different things in the world that we're in. It's also helping me with Baldur's Gate 3, thinking of things that are possible. Last night, I had a great session with my friend who I'm doing co-op with on Smirking Rob Plays. Um, we have some of it on Twitch, and we've been broadcasting on YouTube as well. Our co-op, and it's been a lot of fun being involved in this. And again, I hope this recap helps somebody. And I hope it entertains some others, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so session 5. And so okay, but we have to kinda tell everybody where we were at the end of session 4. We had just come out of this mine that a gnome named Tinkin had hired us through our like, the people where we get our jobs is Rebo's, facility. Uh, he gives people jobs in the area, and we were hired to go help Tinkin, uh claim this mine, this Crimsonite mine for his own. A lot of emotions in that session, as Tinkin murdered a very, very helpful character named Hug Hug in order to get what he wanted. My character was very unhappy with that. Um, but we got out of there. We had to dig our way out because we triggered a trap, and we literally had to dig our way to the top of this mine. And when we came out, we were in the swamp next to the mine, and we made our way back to town. And that's where we ended session 4. Um, and a lot of the people that we were playing with have not been back. I have not seen since the fourth one. It's been a minute, man. It's been a couple of months, really, I think. And in this session, we have myself, who is playing as the halfling rogue known as 8, but also called Swifty. So, or Wispy. I'm sorry. I keep wanting to say Swifty. I think it's just that Rick and Morty thing. We're going to get Wispy in here. That's my nickname, is Wispy. And Wispy, Ziggy Stardust, played by another guy at the table who's the warlock. And then we have a elf. No, he's a warlock, and he's a half elf. And then we have a full elf in the party named Haldir, and he's a bard. And the bard got a lot of action this week. Everybody got a lot of action this week because there was only 3 of us at the table, including not counting the DM. So we get back to town. And because we are now level 3, I can get I've put my I'm an assassin rogue, and so I was able to be proficient now in poisoner's kit and disguise kit, but it was late at night, none of the stores were open, so I couldn't get one. But as we approach the town, there's a party going on for a character. If you go back into the recaps, was like at the beginning of our campaign, named Dorcas Malorcus. The Dorcas part was created by the DM. The Malorcus part I added because it's just something we used to say with the name Dorcas Malorcus. Well, last we left Dorcas, it was in an underground series of rooms, on the top of which was an elaborate statue trap in order to hide what was in there to discourage anybody. Like if you're going to get in there, you're going to have to really, go through the puzzles and all that. When we got down there, it seemed really rotten. it, there was a voice saying, like, come, open this up and we'll give you whatever. We didn't like it because it just seemed really bad. There was like I can't quite remember all the details of it, but there was plenty of reasons to get out of there. And the dwarf named Dorcas, he didn't want to leave, but we left him. And there was like I do believe we were talking about hearing some screams or something. And when we went back down there, all that was left was his armor. All his stuff was just laying there, and he wasn't there. And we took off. And we told his wife. We went back and we had to tell his wife that what had happened. Dorcas owns a jewelry store, and they have diamonds there. Basically, they started the jewelry store because Dorcas always goes out and gets himself killed. And if they have a bunch of diamonds, they can keep bringing him back. And so after telling her, she went out and apparently found him with her kids, who are all a bunch of dwarf bullies, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, Dorcas is back. They found him. They brought him back. And apparently he's got a lot of money and he's physically changed. He is bigger than he was. He's still a dwarf and he still looks like a dwarf, but he's much more. It feels like they said he was a little hardier. I could be wrong about that, but he's got special armor on, I think now. And I think maybe that's part of it. But he's back and he wanted to rub it in our characters' faces. And for some reason, especially mine, I don't know why. Um, I did feel especially kind of maybe because there was not as many people at the table, but he's there saying, "Oh, here are the guys that left me there to die." Well, we didn't leave him there to die. He left himself there. Like he went on his own little adventure. He wants to create whatever fiction in his head he can, and I wasn't really having any of it. My character Wispy was just like, "Hey, man, we did the honorable thing. We came back and we told your wife about it so that she could find you." But that wasn't good enough for this guy. In fact, he kept turning his back on my character. Maybe it's because I was talking like this, talking so much that the guy just couldn't handle it anymore. That happens in real life. I talk a lot sometimes. Um, but he was kind of like he wanted us. He heard about the dodecahedron that we found. Anybody who knows Baldur's Gate 3, there's like a magical dodecahedron in that. Well, we found one in his mines, along with a few other things that I did get eventually attached to me. I got a cloak of Elvenkind and a rapier of initiative. The rapier initiative just helps me in the initiative roll. I get to advantage on my initiative rolls, and the cloak of Elvenkind. I did know. Hang on, let me double check this. Okay, so the cloak of Elvenkind is when you have its hood up. While you wear this cloak with its hood up, wisdom checks made to see you have disadvantage, and you have Made to see you have disadvantage. Okay, anybody's trying to see me with the hood up has disadvantage on a perception check, and you have advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide as the cloak's color shifts to camouflage you. Pulling the hood up and down requires an action. So that's actually good to know. I didn't even read that last part. So when I go in, I'm just gonna always have that hood up so I don't have to like worry about my stealth checks. So I got all that stuff. Well, Dorcas really wants to get this dodecahedron. He's been hired by a man that we met in another session called Jebediah Dupree, who is, I believe, a member of the town council. And the town council was concerned about people trying to assassinate them. And that's why two of our characters were hired to go there and get information from people. And what we found out was that that Jebediah Dupree killed an assassin that tried to get to him. And now he's commissioned a temple that it seems like Dorcas has been hired to like put together, and he wants the dodecahedron, who's got kind of an oil slicky, you look at it, changes colors, and he wants to use it as like he wants to pay us for it being a decoration in this temple. And when he came back from this place, he has a ton of loot. He had this whole big treasure chest filled with at least thousands of gold in there. And he was asking us if we wanted to if we would sell him the dodecahedron for this like whole chest full of stuff. And I'm like, if this is just decoration, why is he paying so much, willing to pay so much for it? But I was like, "Nah." Like, I need to think about this before I just hand it over to you, because if it has any kind of value to me outside of monetary, then we need to double check that we're not handing this a dangerous thing over to this guy at the very least. And, also if it could benefit one of us or all of us, look, maybe it's it's the uh downside of playing Baldur's Gate 3 and knowing what that dodecahedron is possible, like I was thinking, there could be anything inside this thing. There could be a whole like, pocket universe for all I know. But he's really cheesed off, and I just take off. There's a whole big party going on here. Haldir's really into it. He's a bard. He's in for the party. He wants to drink and hang out with these other people. So he's playing and performing, and I just walk right past him, go into the Rebo's place where we were given free lodging. And I just go to the back of the, like, dorms, find a place facing the door so I can see anybody that's coming inside. I lay down, and with one eye open, I go to sleep. Well, I think I screwed things up for the DM because he had kinda set up this, like, he was gonna set up this fight where the dwarves were gonna challenge us to a fight. And specifically, they wanted to call me out. I should backpedal, though, a little bit. When I went into Rebo's, my character, Wispy, was having a conversation with himself. Really, really two-sided conversation. One side of it being, uh, "Can't trust any of these people everywhere we go. Somebody's trying to take advantage of us. Everybody's trying to get something from us. Everybody's like, 'No, it's now or nothing.' But they always end up betraying us." And the other voice was much calmer, saying, "Well, there's a lot of reasons people do what they do, and you gotta trust in somebody out there. We gotta take some kind of risk because, and it was clear. And we did it in front of another NPC named Miss Brightpetal, who is the like co-owner, if you want to say. She got really irritated thinking that we didn't think she was equal to Rebo. I don't know how we ever came across that we weren't showing her respect. In fact, I had tipped her, like a little, here you go, like, but it got thrown in my face a little bit how little I actually gave her. I don't know. I just thought it was nice. Um, but I asked her if she could identify this dodecahedron, and as of right now, not much could be done with the time that she had, and she needs a pearl worth 100 and an owl feather to, uh, like, successfully, identify this. And the person who could identify this, I think, is just not. It's not. He's not in the part. He's not here at any of the sessions yet. Maybe next session, if he's there, we might be able to identify this without getting the pearl or the owl feather. So if you watch this dude come to the session, so we don't have to pay 100 for a pearl. I'm just kidding. Do what you need to. Um, so there's that on the plate to do the next day. Meanwhile, outside, that's when the proclamation of, he wants to have some fighting expositions. Dorcas does, and he calls me out to fight him for not selling him. And he's decided that he wants to beat it out of me. But I'm not there. And so he starts talking to Ziggy and Haldir. And also Jebediah wants to know about me because I had apparently I was seen casing Dorcas's house the day that we went to go tell the wife about her husband's demise or disappearance. Apparently, and so they're calling me, he's like, I think this guy's a thief. Who are these guys? Meaning us. And it kind of irritates Ziggy, whose patron, Major Tom, suddenly tells him, "You never lost control," which I think is a reference to a Bowie song. I'm fairly certain. But I'm not there to fight. And once again, this character of Dorcas, his like my way or the highway, it's now or never, comes up. But so the fight's kind of being canceled, but Ziggy's taken like a lot of this like conversation kind of hard. Like he's kind of cheesed off about like the aspersions that Dorcas is making. And so they agree to a one-on-one fight. Ziggy versus Dorcas's best / drunkest son. He gets inspiration from Haldir. And what we don't know is that this guy, this son of Dorcas named Chingy, he's a dwarf monk who specializes in drunken master. As soon as I heard that we were going to be fighting a bunch of the possibility to fight at least 3, I think, dwarven monks who I've seen in game and on other like in Critical Role what a monk can do. So I was actually not that like I was actually pretty pleased that I had decided to end my part of this night because I didn't honestly want to fight like a bunch of monk dwarves at level 3. I think that my character made the right decision to just say, screw this, I'm going home. I don't want to be a part of this party, especially when Dorcas is being really antagonistic towards me because I don't want to do something. And I'll say this. My character has been unwilling to do things from in this campaign quite often. The session 3 and 4, I think, were my like highlights of adventuring, but push comes to shove, my character is not going to be bullied by a bunch of drunken monk dwarves into a fight that he can't control. He's especially not going to allow Dorcas to control the situation, which he wants. He wants all the control of this situation, and I wasn't giving it to him. Because of my background, I'm not letting somebody tell me what to do or control me. So, Haldir inspires Ziggy in this fight, and it's bad right off the bat, folks. Like this guy just starts wailing on Ziggy. If it wasn't for Haldir killing a nat 20, I think he probably would have went down like immediately. But he got hit for like 15, like pretty much right away. Ziggy's able to cast Hex. But the dwarf rolls an 18 of wisdom for 6 points and another natural 20, and Ziggy's knocked out. Like this guy just boom, 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 boom. Well, they try to do bardic inspiration, but he rolls a natural 1. So Ziggy's out. And they try to do persuasion for this fight. They're trying to keep this thing going. Like he gets back up. Nobody's trying to kill each other, just having exhibitions. Gets healed, I'm assuming. They try to persuade a fight that fails. But they go again. And Ziggy, when the guy's walking away and Ziggy fires at him from behind. He gets a 23 Eldritch Blast for 16 points of damage against this drunken dwarf Chingy. He tries to grapple but fails. And he also tries to do Tasha's Hideous Laughter, but that doesn't matter. Ziggy heals 8. He has an attack of opportunity that fails against Chingy. And then Ziggy's hit with 14 for 11, and he falls unconscious. He gets brought back up, and Haldir goes off with the dwarves to the bar to hang out because he's a bard. He's having some drinks. He's having a good time. He is an elf, and he's hanging out with dwarves. So that's a little weird, but I'm only going by, I think, by like, I don't know. Has it always been that way that dwarves and elves don't like each other in all of fantasy? I don't know. I know that in Lord of the Rings, they don't like each other too much, but never really thought about it too much in D&D. I don't know how much that comes up, but he's having a good old time hanging out with them. Ziggy comes back into the dorms eventually, where I'm like, was it worth it? And I tell him, you tried to fight a bunch of bullies all at the same time. What do you think was going to happen, basically? Now, a bunch of bullies, when they're all together, are strong. But when you get them one at a time, they'll squeal for their mothers just like anybody else. Which raised some eyebrows at the table. I was really into it that night. I was really talking and getting into my character a little bit. And it was a little frustrating because I in the end, I didn't really do that much, but I did learn. I've been learning a lot more. And that's what counts, I think, in some ways, especially since we weren't in dire situations that we had to. Like there's always all these ways to handle an encounter or a potential encounter, or like before you even start an encounter, what can you do to like maybe make it not an encounter, but still get the XP, still get the things you want. So we're exploring that for the rest of this because we get another job in the morning. But we have to talk about how there was this assassin that was caught. He's in a tower. They caught him. Well, I'm trying to make sure I get this right. But they're in the assassins that were trying to kill Jebediah and other town council members. One of the assassins was caught who tried to kill the mayor. The one who tried to kill Jebediah is dead. And they've captured an assassin, and he's being interrogated. Rebo asks Haldir, and we're starting to get other people's plots in here. And they're not all known to me. Not all, like, my backstory isn't known to everybody else. But I believe Haldir, the bard, it comes from like more of a sea background a little bit, and they were talking, and this salt marsh is up against the water, so there is a lot of nautical travel going on in this area. And they start talking about a missing captain named Talia Silverwave, and that she had been going around port to port rebuilding her crew after some bad times, hard times. That's all we really got about that, but that's just, to flesh out more for an adventure on the sea, apparently. Well, again, I tell Ziggy about the bullies. Also, the boat that this Talia Silverwave has is named Otter's Kiss. Got to remember that. We also find out that Miss Brightpetal was a former captain of a ship. And we are now given our next job is to go to this tower. It's about 30 feet high, kind of round. Like if you think of like some of those mini towers that aren't too big, they kind of look more like little bunkers. I don't know, like or if you think about like how the four corners of a castle have those like kind of bigger sections, a little bit like that, I guess. It's kind of hard to put in here. And maybe when I post this, I don't know. I probably won't. It's 30 feet tall. It's like think of like a silo, I guess, but like thick, made of stone, 3 floors. There's a window on the second, and then there's a window on the third on the other side, and a door right below the second story window. There's a bunch of it was investigated by Rebo, there's guys in there. I believe this has to do with the assassins that are trying to, and they want us to go in there. There's to see what's in there and to get anybody out alive if possible, so that they can find out what's going on there and take it down, stop these assassins. We find out that the tower was owned a long time ago by a wizard named Senleros, a very heroic wizard. He had this place set up with all kinds of traps, though. He was a wizard who went and searched for an elder dragon and never returned. So I guess, yeah, it's 30 feet tall and it's 40 by 40. And we were trying to figure out how to get these guys out of the place. We kind of ask about the surrounding area. Does this tower have like a good vantage point to see in all directions? Are there places to hide around the tower? Or is it in a wide open spot? It is 2 hours away from Saltmarsh, so it's not in town. But it is surrounded by some little kind of rundown homes and sheds and buildings, and also forest after that. So you got the tower, you got the houses and the sheds around it, and then you got the forest around that. So the original plan was, I guess, like the buildings of the plan was that I sneak in while they distract from the outside, try to get them to either come out or just not pay attention to what's going on. One of the people in the tower looks out the window, just looks out, and unfortunately, Haldir decided to wave even though we're trying to sneak. Haldir, hey, we all do things. I do them all the time. I did them last night. I was playing Baldur's Gate. I used web and exploded a bunch of stuff, and it hurt some of my players, not to any kind of extensive, extent, but this is it's just an example of what I'm saying is little things that you don't even like after the fact. How there was like, saying like, oh God, like I thought he saw me. He's like, no, he's just looking out. So they now see him. So what do? We improvise. And they start Ziggy, who was a former in Saltmarsh. He's the guy who handled like permits and things like that for building things. So he takes his experience at that and he starts yelling about how they want to see a permit. You guys are in here and we need to know why you're here and we need you to show us your permits for this place. And it kind of confuses them. But Haldir charms the guy into coming down to the front door. He does not come out the front door. Meanwhile, I'm kind of looking around because I'm trying to think of like plan B, C, D, E. Like, how do we get these guys out of there without necessarily fighting them? We don't know how many there are at this point. And we don't know if, we kind of assume that by being in there, they had to have at least gotten rid of some of the traps that are in there. And they confirm that when they finally start talking. When he at least charms him, he's able to find out a few things because he's considered a close acquaintance and starts getting more information. There's 4 of them. There's one in front of the door. There's one looking out the window on the second floor, and there's 2 on the third floor. But they're also waiting on 2 others and someone called the Master, who I don't know who that is. I'm looking around to find anything to like. My plan was to like, if we can't get them out, to smoke them out. Like, there's only windows and one way out. We smoke them out. I was gonna suggest that we just burn some stuff under the door. Yeah, sure, they can open up the windows. Maybe they can jump out of them even. But if they jump out of them, they got to land right, and we could probably get them if they're prone. It was just a different ideas that we were playing with. There were several ideas of me, sneaking through windows and killing people, but I didn't like the idea of not like, even when I knew that there were 2 guys on the third floor, I was like, if I'm going in by myself, I don't know. I just didn't like the idea of going in by myself and having no backup to help me. To get to the third floor, who knows how long it would take for everybody to get up there if something went south. I really felt like I was being put in positions where my character was going to die, and I was trying to dance around them with thinking of other ways to handle this situation. But the door opens, Haldir can see inside because he's got dark vision, and it's just this rundown, dilapidated place with books and everything, and they're desperate. These guys are actually desperate, and they've been here for a while, and they don't have any food, so we're trying to negotiate things, and he gives us 87 silver to give us all his rations, all our rations, but he doesn't know how many of us are there. As far as this guy knows, there's only 2 of us, Ziggy and Haldir. They don't know anything about me. They don't have any idea where that I exist. And so we're gonna like take that. They even give us a circlet. Um, that also is pretty. I think it's. I can't remember what the circlet is. I didn't write it down. They gave us a circlet and like a red gem, and we were supposed to use it to go get them food and bring it back. Because again, the charm. But we also find out that these people are the cultists, the same kind of cultists that we found in Tinkin's mine. So, after several ideas of how we could attack these guys and maybe get in there, I decide to run out, grab everything that is in Haldir's hands, like it's like I'm stealing it from him. I punch him like I kind of hit him in the gut as I run past, yank all the stuff. I go run charging, screaming, ah! I grab the stuff. Like we were doing hand signals also, by the way, from out off screen. Like I was telling them how many people were in the place, blah, 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 like just baseball signals, basically. And I gave them the signal that what I was gonna do. I run, I charge, I grab all the stuff, and I just beeline it for the tree line. And they convinced this guy that if we can't help you, if you don't help me get this, stop this guy from running off with our stuff. So he comes with, I go charging into the woods about 60 so feet. Ziggy goes about 30, and Haldir goes like kind of right in the tree line and uses hold person on Chingy, which works. And we end up tying him up and taking him back to we're on our way, taking him back to town. We figure we've gotten all like a bunch of stuff from these guys that just handed it to us. There's 3 more in there. They're waiting for 2 more and somebody called the master. We got the one and we're taking him back to town. There was a moment here where I misunderstood this guy because as I was running away with all the stuff, he goes, one of the numbers is still alive, meaning me. That because I go by 8. And that freaked me out. And it made me I misinterpreted the situation. I thought that the DM was telling me that there were other numbers out there that survived besides me, and there's like a hunt for all of us. But what he was really saying is that that he recognized me specifically, Chingy did, and that I'm revealed to be alive to him and whoever's looking for me. But I misinterpreted that, and I stuck a dagger under his throat, like under the point of his chin to kind of go up into his chin. And I was asking him, like, basically, like I was threatening pretty hard, I'm gonna make you. He's not gonna tell me anything. He's like, I'm gonna make you scream, like things like I'm gonna go after everybody you love, that kind of thing. Um, but I asked him, how much of a head start do I still have? And he says that I don't have one. That it's that the nets are starting to close in on me. I should also point out that I did try to reach out to my contact that was like the people that can get me things and supplies and other such stuff, but I failed the role. I failed the perception role. I got to figure out how to get in contact with these people because there is a mission still out there for me, folks, or at least potential missions for me if I live. I don't know, but we're taking Chingy back to Rebo's to find out what's going on, and hopefully on the next session of this DD&D campaign, we can find out what this dodecahedron is. We can find out who the master is, maybe a whole bunch of other stuff, and maybe more people will be at the party so that I can get this target off my back a little bit. So anyway, that is my recap for my D&D session number 5. I hope y'all liked listening to it. I hope to be more. I want to keep doing these more and more so that I get into a better flow about how I talk about this. But if you did like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that jazz. Otherwise, we'll see you on session 6 or any other content that I put out on the channel. Check it out. There's a ton of videos. Otherwise, have a great day, everybody. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.